Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome into another edition of GC Live. I'm your host, Jack Veltri, joined as always by my co-host and former South Carolina right-handed pitcher and fellow Yankee fan, Ethan Carter. Ethan, are we pumped for opening day, man?
Oh man, I've been so excited all day. I've been pestering I'm down here in Myrtle Beach with my parents this weekend, and I've been bothering my dad all day, just throwing Yankee facts at him and making him watch Boone interviews and all that. So no, I'm definitely excited. You know, it's good to get to the 162 game marathon, get that rolling starting today.
Dude, I'm hyped. Like, I'm ready for the season to start, and it's early this year, but looking forward to it. And
Yep.
you know, we're right in the mix of college baseball right now. Lots going on, and tough series this weekend coming up with Tennessee. We're gonna dive into it here in a little bit, break down what is to come with the number one Vols coming into town as they take on the struggling Gamecocks right now, losers of 4 straight. But before we get rolling, I appreciate you guys joining as always to listen to what we have to say here. But I want to talk to you guys real quick about Clint Hammond of CMG Home Loans, our main show sponsor. So if you're in the market to potentially buy a home or you need help with your mortgage, you got no clue where to begin, got good news for you. Clint is your guy to get in contact with. He'll take you through the process step by step and help you out along the way. He's been in the mortgage industry for a very long time now. He's a lifelong Gamecock fan. He's also a longtime supporter of Gamecock Central and all of our GC Live shows. So if you're interested, give him a call, 803-422-6797. The NMLS number for him is 71597, or go to clinthammond.com for more info, and that will be all above us here on screen all show long. All right, man, we got to talk the injury bug right out of the gate here. Obviously a strange weekend out in Arkansas, given the fact that South Carolina just didn't play well enough to win any games this weekend. And really, really bad series for the Gamecocks. But they got hit with some strange injury news the other day. And just to recap, on Saturday, this past Saturday, when they were out at Arkansas, during batting practice, Sunday starter Dylan Eskew was doing some pitching work, some drills in the bullpen, and he gets hit with a home run ball by South Carolina during BP, and he has to undergo concussion protocol. And, you know, he wasn't able to pitch Sunday, you know, so Jarvis Evans had to slide into that Sunday spot after pitching on Tuesday already. It threw South Carolina's pitching plans off for the rest of, you know, that weekend and then going into Tuesday against North Carolina. So here is what Paul Mainieri did have to say, providing an update on Dylan Eskew, and it's not exactly good, and it honestly only just gets worse from here, really.
Dylan Eskew is going to be out for a while. It's the craziest thing ever. He's out in the outfield. You were there, Jack.
Yeah.
I don't know if you were there during batting practice. He's in the bullpen behind the left field fence during batting practice doing some pitching drills. He's throwing a weighted ball into the wall, and one of our batters hits a ball out of the park and hits him right on the top of the head. And he's supposed to start the game tomorrow, Sunday's game. And anyway, he started having issues with it, and he had to go into concussion protocol, and consequently he wasn't even cleared until yesterday. But he was starting to have some problems with his side a little bit. When I noticed it when he was playing catch a couple of the days earlier, he was like just doing some stretching like this. I said, "You having problems?" He said, "No, I'm just a little tight. I'm just stretching." But when that ball hit him, the way his body reacted to it, I think it irritated him, and now he's got an oblique problem. So
Jeez.
Those obliques are tricky, you know. You don't think it's it's just an oblique, but they're kind of like groin problems. They take longer than you think. So I don't know how long he's going to be out, but unfortunately we won't have him this weekend for the foreseeable future. Craziest thing I've ever seen. How does a guy get hit in the head doing pitching drills when he's 350 feet away from home plate, you know? So that's kind of we were fortunate that the previous week's midweek game was a Tuesday, so I had Jarvis on the active roster, although it hurt us then for Tuesday's game because, you know, we saw what happened Tuesday. And instead of pitching Jarvis and hopefully giving us 5-6 innings, we had to try to do what we did, and didn't really go as planned, as you obviously watched. So so now, you know, it's almost forced us a little bit. I just feel also that the other factor is that Brandon Stone has been such a good pitcher for us, and he was, you know, lights out coming out of the bullpen for us, and he was a great weapon for, you know, and then, you know, we bumped him into that Friday night start, and, you know, his 2 starts didn't go as planned either, but I think there were some reasons for that as well. And even before Eskew was hurt, I had already told Brandon I was going to move him back to the bullpen where we could use him, you know, in a situation that, you know, could really help the team. So it was already, so I had already made the plan in my head to move Jake McCoy to Friday night, you know, and we're going to have Eskew Saturday and then have Jarvis on Sunday, which I thought would have started this weekend. Unfortunately, just got rushed into moving Jarvis into the rotation last weekend, and now with Eskew's injury, Jarvis moves up a spot. So that's kind of the history of how we came to this conclusion. But I wanted to have Brandon Stone in the bullpen, and so now we're, you know, McCoy, Jarvis, and famous TBA on Sunday. We'll see where we are when Sunday rolls around.
I forgot we were on mute there for a second. So yeah, that was definitely that will be the only really long step from Maneri. And basically the general synopsis is, if you're just now joining us on the live stream here, Dylan Eskew is out for this weekend, probably out for a while longer with what, you know, started as a concussion potentially and seemed to avoid trouble with that. But it's the strangest thing that he now has an oblique injury from the way he got hit in the head by that home run ball in batting practice the other day. Seemed to strain his oblique. So who knows how long he's going to be out. It's going to probably be a little bit here. But the other part of that I didn't even realize when I was cutting up the audio, that he mentioned the whole weekend rotation thing. We can just talk about that real quick. So Friday, it's going to be Jake McCoy. Saturday, it's Jarvis Evans. Sunday, TBA. So we will see what they do on Sunday. That's something that I don't know really what they are going to do, quite honestly, because if you're using Brandon Stone out of the bullpen like they have been, hypothetically he would pitch Friday night after McCoy, and at that point you hope Jake gives you 5-6 good innings, and then you can turn it over to Stone, or heck, maybe just go with your normal bullpen arms and save Stone for maybe Sunday. Or I think this is a very good opportunity to get Matthew Becker back in the rotation. So first off, I'll ask for your thoughts on the whole Eskew situation. I mean, have you ever seen anything like this, number one? And then number two, your thoughts on the rotation.
No, I've never seen anything like the situation where, you know, the way I can think about it is he was in the middle of doing the drill, and when he got hit, I mean, those weighted balls are, you know, I don't know what routine he was doing, but as somebody, you know, has done that in training and whatnot, like the only guess I have is he was mid throw and he got smoked, and then he was throwing, he had to stop, and that catches, and that is, and again, I mean, Coach hit on it. It's like groin. I had groin and hamstring issues, you know, my couple years at South Carolina, and those groins, you know, don't go away easily. And same thing with obliques. They're big muscles, and they just tend to hang around and stay in there. So, you know, I feel for Dylan. He's been throwing well outside of the free passes, and that definitely hurts the rotation as far as, you know, the depth that provides, especially with moving Brandon back to the bullpen, which I think is needed. You know, we've kind of been talking about it the last couple of weeks, and we've definitely been talking about, you know, through text message that, you know, McCoy probably getting moved to Friday was the needed remedy. And Jarvis has been throwing really well. And I think, you know, he's earned the spot to get on the weekend staff. So it all kind of meshes together the way we thought it would. but obviously not with Dylan's injury. And I feel for him. That's not something that that's utterly out of his control. I've never seen somebody get accidentally just smoked. We were texting earlier today. I have seen somebody chest up a home run ball in the bullpen. Funny enough, when we played Tennessee in 2010, one of their assistant coaches chested a home run ball up in the bullpen. But I've never seen it on accident and it lead to an injury. So I feel for Dylan on that front. And then yeah, with the rotation, I think, we got our best guy going on Friday now, that adjustment's been made. I think Jarvis has earned the right to pitch on the weekend. And then good old, TBA on Sunday. It's not where you want to be, but you'd rather have TBA than, somebody you don't trust. You just, okay, here's this person, go figure it out. You have a plan. And to your point, I think to get through this tough stretch and to kind of stabilize the staff as a whole, Matthew Becker's got to step up. He's got to be better than he's been, the last, 2-3 outings.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And I think this is a really big opportunity for some guys to kind of assert themselves in this rotation because, look, the pitching lately has not been good. There's no doubt about it. You've given up 48 runs over the last 4 games. You've surrendered 12 home runs. I mean, look, the pitching, we've talked about it a few times now. I think the pitching's been fine most of the year, but it's this bad stretch you've been going through I think it's inflated your ERA by a whole run or something. It's now in the 4s. When it was in the 3s here for a good portion of the year. So It's tough luck with the SU situation. But then again, Tennessee, I was just looking at their team for this weekend. They have TBA also for Sunday. So it's not like it's an unfortunate situation for South Carolina, but it's not the end of the world here. I mean, you have some options. I think you could go with Becker on Sunday potentially. You could go. I think it's better to keep Stone in the bullpen and use him twice this weekend potentially. So I think Stone gives you a good option, especially if McCoy doesn't give you length on Friday. And we'll talk about McCoy in a second. And then you also have guys like Tyler Pitzer who could pitch in the rotation. He's a guy that started some games last year. And then you also have Ryder Guarino, Jackson Susie. So you have options to start on Sunday. And if the series is kind of in hand to where it's you could win a game on Sunday and take a series potentially, I think you maybe try to go with Becker. I think he would be a great option. He just has to pitch better. It's plain and simple. So
yeah, that's cut and dry. I mean, he's a vet on the staff. He's been here for a minute, and those kind of guys have to be able to stabilize the whole staff. Those guys look to guys like Becker, and just point blank, he's just got to be better. And it's the staff has. I mean, the walks have been concerning. I think you posted that they for the Tuesday game they walked 11 guys.
That's 2 hit by pitches as well.
That's just unacceptable. That's just not. That you're not going to win games. I mean, the fact they were in the game first and foremost is a testament to the offense. But you're not going to win games if you give 13 free passes. That's just it's unsustainable. So, and I know they've been it's kind of a couple things. They've been bit by the home run bug a little bit, and then add on it's a chicken and the egg situation. Are they falling behind hitters and then putting guys on because they're afraid of the home run ball, or are they behind hitters and then guys are teeing off because they're not throwing strikes? So it's just one of the things where they've got to get back on the attack mode. They've got to find some self-confidence. Again, we've talked about it. It is a tough stretch. I mean, it is the toughest stretch probably in the country, that you're going to go Arkansas, Tennessee, throw in a midweek North Carolina in there. There's not probably a tougher stretch in the entire country for these last 7 games. And then again, they had Oklahoma beat, but they let it go. So the guys have just got to kind of find a way. It sounds cliche, and there's not much analysis to be done in that area, but they've got to try to find a way to stabilize this, because again, it's the season. It's not over by any stretch, but it can feel over, with another bad weekend this weekend.
Yeah, it really could. I mean, if you get swept this weekend, man, you're 1-8 in SEC play, and that's really tough. And granted, I think it gets a lot, I don't want to say easier from here, because you have 2 road trips coming up, but it's against Mississippi State and Texas A&M. And A&M's obviously 0-6 in league play. Mississippi State struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
I think South Carolina nab a game this weekend, and I think you feel better about things. Obviously, it's not perfect. It's not where you want to be at potentially 2-7 in SEC play. But
right.
I think the difference between being 5 games under 500 and 7 games under 500 is massive. It's a huge difference. And you got to be able to find a way to win a game this weekend, potentially win the series. And I think it starts, number one, with pitching, right? And pitching McCoy on Friday, I think we've both been a proponent of this for a little bit now. And the circumstances are unfortunate for how it's happening. But McCoy's finally the Friday guy. And I like it. I think it sets the tone for the weekend. And so does Paul Mainieri. Here's real quick what Mainieri did have to say about why he's starting McCoy on Friday, outside the fact of injuries and stuff.
Well, number one, he's the best arm we have, okay? And I've always thought that Jake was a Friday night starter. He just wasn't ready to be a Friday night starter yet. I think it sounds crazy after a game he didn't make it out of the first inning. That was one of the more strange innings that I've ever seen. I mean, for the first 2 batters, believe me, he looked like a Friday night starter, and then just crazy things started to happen, not totally of his own doing. And but I've always felt that Jake was capable of being the Friday night starter just because of his stuff and the athlete that he is and so forth. Well, number one.
So that is what Paul Mainieri had to say about why Jake McCoy is starting on Friday, outside of the fact that, Dylan Eskew is going to be out for a little bit now. And look, McCoy, the big thing with him is he is a strikeout pitcher. Ethan, you made a really good point. I think it was last week that, when he's going to get guys out, he's going to try to overpower you with the fastball. And that is what we've seen this year, 45 strikeouts and 12 walks. So the numbers are definitely a lot better in that department. And it helps when you throw 96, 97 consistently.
Yeah, from the left side at that.
Literally. Now, other than that, I mean, that's a great number right there. But you look at the ERA, you look at the numbers. I mean, almost a 70 ERA this season. Yeah. He's given up 4 home runs, 22 runs, 18 of which have been earned. That outing against Arkansas, he records the first 2 outs of the game. And then once he plunked the 3-hole hitter, a single by the 4-hole guy, and then the 3-run homer, his outing really just collapsed. Yeah. And I mean, he got to a point where he almost threw 50 pitches in the first inning. So I think the big thing for him, and we saw it with Jarvis on Sunday, get through the first inning. Yep. Get through the first inning against this Tennessee lineup and see where you go from there. If you can get through this lineup twice with giving up maybe a run or 2, because I do expect him to give up at least 1 run this weekend.
Yeah.
But I think his stuff plays really well to when he's not pitching in tight spots and not having command issues. He is very good, as we all know. He's super solid. And we saw it in those first few outings of the year. We saw it against Clemson. So he's fully capable of pitching well against top-tier teams. And now he's just got to go out there and do it. I think it helps being at home Friday night. He feeds off energy. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him pitch tomorrow. And, I think he's really going to set the tone for South Carolina, regardless of whether they win or lose.
Yeah, no, this has been in the making for a little bit. And, to your point, like, these guys just have to get through the first inning. Like, I think that, we sound like a broken record talking about it the last couple of weeks. They just, if they can get through the first inning, it kind of settles in, and then you can kind of figure out what's happening. But they're getting behind the 8 ball, and then the offense has to press. And I've been, obviously the Arkansas series wasn't great, but they have been better than I think we thought they would. It's Nathan Hall's been tapped into a little bit of power. Bo Hollins has run into a few. I think the offense is showing progress. And I think that's especially frustrating that the pitching was leading the way the first part of the year, and now they've taken a real step back. And the offense is, while it's getting better, it's just not going to be a top tier offense. It's not. They don't have the profile to go out and out slug teams. It's going to be a lot of executing a hit and run, which I believe they did on Tuesday night. They executed a great hit and run. Getting, we'll get into this a little bit later, but getting some athletes on the field that can possibly get, spark some guys and kind of get off the lineup rolling. But with the pitching, like they just got to be better. They've got to start attacking some guys, and I know that's a scary proposition with this Tennessee lineup coming to town that just rakes. But I've always thought I'd much rather get my teeth kicked in by an offense that's hitting the ball all over the yard. I don't know what our stance is on language here, but I'll be darned if I'm going to walk guys. Like I'm not giving them a free pass. Like, you can look at my numbers throughout. There won't no walks. There may have been some big home runs given up, or there may have been some hard hit balls, but I tell you one thing, there were not walks ever. Like, that's just, I'm not a proponent of it. When I coached high school, when I coached, travel ball, like, we're not here to walk guys. We'll if we get beat, we'll tip our cap, but we're not putting guys on. And that's something the staff's just got to kind of figure out, there's no other way to put it. They just have to throw strikes. It's just, it's unsustainable to keep doing what they're doing.
It was insane to see the other day. I'm looking back to the numbers and stuff against UNC, and literally about half their pitches they threw, of the 260 that they threw, were balls. That's not going to cut it.
No, like, that's not going to cut it at any level. Like, and especially, again, I know it wasn't, as it wasn't a conference game on, but that's a, Power 5 conference, Power 4 conference, that's not going to cut it in, the Division II Peach Belt. That's not going to cut it there. So, like, something has to change. And I think Coach Rooney's done a real good job with staff. There's not a ton of guys that are, like the Tennessee staff that's going to run out, multiple guys 95 plus, and these devastating, stuff. Like, it's a good staff, and I think Coach Rooney's done a lot with it. But, like, you don't have the stuff to pitch with guys on base consistently. Like, you just don't. McCoy is your one guy that I think consistently misses bats to where where some traffic can get on and you trust that he's going to, get a strikeout, versus, what's been happening. And then, I'll stop my rant after this to add on to that. The defense has to be better. These guys have been getting double play balls, when they are struggling, and there's a double play ball there, that play's got to be made. These are not like, not all of them, but 70% of these are routine ground balls Kazmar's been improved immensely with the bat so far this year. Like, it's, you see the progress there, but some of these ground balls, and even when Will came in, just these plays have to, especially with a struggling staff, like, they're not missing bats. So you've got to rely on the defense. And when the plays are there, we got to make the plays.
Easily. You have to be able to make plays out there. Look, some of these balls that have been hit, you're right. There have been double play balls hit that haven't been made, and that is just not going to cut it. And speaking of middle infielders and stuff, hit on one more injury real quick before we start flipping over to the series. Paul Maneri did mention another big injury that he's been out for a little bit now, but it's still unfortunate nevertheless. Talking about Nolan Naraki, who's been down with a little bit of knee trouble over the last few weeks, and it's not really a good update.
He's probably lost for the year, actually.
Same knee thing?
Yeah, actually both of his knees. So he saw a doctor actually yesterday, and there's some issues there that he's got to deal with. He's got to make a decision whether he's going to have surgery on his knees, and if he does, it could be a pretty lengthy recovery. And the other option is to try to go through some physical therapy, but that therapy would last a month. So I'm not really counting on him being back this year, and we'll just have to see what his long-term situation is going to be. I haven't met with him since he saw the doctor yesterday, but I'm sure pretty soon I'll meet with he and his parents and our trainer and our doctor, and we'll come up with a game plan on how to deal with it.
So never something you want to see with a guy getting hurt. I mean, Nolan's been dealing with knee injuries since he got to South Carolina. Again, Paul was talking to us today just about how strange all these injuries have been since he got here. Like it's laughable at this point. Like a guy getting hit in the head by a home run ball, he has potentially has a concussion. He ends up not, but oh wait, his oblique is hurting him. It's not like these guys are faking injuries. It's not. No. It's just random coincidences that have happened. And Nolan, I think, banged his knee into the padding of a wall or something during fall. And ever since then, he's been really banged up. And he hasn't really played much this year. I mean, his last action, gosh, it feels like forever ago. Was probably
Clemson, wasn't it?
It was Morehead State. He got that against them. So that was all the way back on March 12th. But, I mean, even before that, like his last real serious action was Davidson on March 4th. So it's not officially like press release or anything like he's done for the year like that. Like, obviously, they'll decide on surgery or going through PT for about a month. But by that point, you go through PT, it's just like you're going to be out till almost May. And it's not one knee. Keep in mind.
That's the thing.
He said knees.
Yep. No, again, it is something where, no matter kind of what route he goes, the season's it's a lost season for him. And I hate that for Naraki. It's like you said, these guys aren't faking injuries, man. Like they, as a ball player, no matter how rough it's going, like you always want to be out there because, anything it can change on a dime. Like you get one thing rolling, one thing clicks, and you're off and running. I mean, these guys are, will all of them go play professionally? No, but like these guys are playing to play at the next level. This isn't a hobby for these guys. This is serious, primetime baseball, and so they're not looking for a way out. I hate it for Nolan. I hate it for the other guys who've been kind of dealing with stuff. But yeah, it's definitely a blow. They were kind of counting on Nolan to be a force in the lineup and to do some things. Like you said, either way, whether he rehabs or goes ahead and decides on surgery, it's a lost season because, like you said, it's if he's out for a month, it's not till May, and then he's got to build back up, get reps and things like that. So I mean, it's a lost season, unfortunately, for him.
It's rough. It really is rough, and it stinks. But Nolan was starting anyway, and I think this is a good segue real quick before we dive into Tennessee. But him not performing well at the time before we knew this was going to be the case, it opened an opportunity for Jordan Carry-On. And one thing I know you texted me about it, and I forgot to have asked Paul about it on Tuesday. But in that game against UNC, Jordan Carry-On, who's been playing well all year, randomly got pinch hit for by Caden Gaskin, and it led to Caden getting a walk to load the bases in the sixth, which led to 4 runs being scored. And I asked Paul today why he pinch hit for Carry-On in that situation. And it wasn't like he did anything wrong or anything, just more so a circumstance where he wanted to see who would step up. And here is what Paul had to say about that whole situation.
One thing I was a little frustrated with in the last week is our lack of coming through in clutch situations. So I literally went down the dugout and asked all the, as a group, the players that were not in the lineup, if anybody's got the courage to come down there and tell me they want to come up and hit with somebody on base, come down and tell me, and I'm going to put you in the game. Carry-on was the one kid that came. Gaskin was the one kid that came down and said, "Put me in, Coach. I'll come through for us." Well, it takes a lot of courage for a kid to do that, you know. So that's what, you know, we had a runner at first and second, I think. He ended up walking, but it was a good walk. He didn't go up there looking for a walk, and he drew the walk. And then, as fate would have it, he comes up with a chance to put us ahead. And he took a great cut on 3-1 and just missed it. And then the 3-2 pitch kind of ran in on him a little bit, and he swung through it. But I was very proud of him that he had the courage to tell me that I can come through for us. And to be honest with you, he did one at bat, and then as the other at bat, he didn't back down. He competed hard. And so, listen, Karen is our second baseman. He's going to be back in there. And I explained to him when I took him out, look, you didn't do anything wrong. It's just I want to do this with this kid and give him a chance. And we'll see where we go from here, you know. So it wasn't really anything to do with strategy.
Yeah, I just didn't know if it was like precautionary or anything.
No. Carry-on's fine.
Yeah.
He was playing well.
Yeah.
I mean, has been playing well. But the situation presented itself, and it happened to be a position that Caden Gaskin could go in and play. So I decided to give the kid a chance at that moment.
So, again, that is what Paul Mainieri had to say about why Caden Gaskin pinch hit for Jordan Carry-On the other day. And it makes sense. Look, it's not like Carry-On did anything wrong, but it's just a spur-of-the-moment thing where, you know, South Carolina is trailing by 5 runs at that point in the game, and you get a guy in there to give you a spark, and he gets on base, and eventually South Carolina, you know, manages to tie the game. And it's going to get overshadowed by the fact that they lost that game and that people have checked out on the season and stuff. But that's the type of mentality that you need to have to go through these tough stretches here of guys that are not down on their luck and, you know, not quitting on the team. They want to be out there and play.
Yeah, no, I love it. One of the guys I've been wanting to get some more run has been Caden Gaskin, and that exchange or that interaction between him and coach, you know, just kind of, you know, solidifies it in my mind, somebody that I want to see get some more, you know, a little bit of a runway to try to string some at bats and string some games together. He's one of the better athletes on the team. You know, he had incredible numbers at junior college, and I would love to see him. I know it's kind of a positional thing right here. You know, he was a second baseman where Jordan's been playing great. He's been getting some run in center field, which, you know, Nathan has kind of locked down. So, you know, KJ's, you know, are starting third base. And so it's hard to kind of see where he breaks in at, but I would love to just find a way to get him in there somehow, you know, whether it's moving Nathan to a corner spot or, you know, try putting him, I don't know what he's been doing at practice or, you know, anything like that, but maybe put him in right field. But yeah, I'd love to see Caden try to get some runway, because that takes some guts, man. You know, not like, I think, you know, people, you know, watching the stream that, you know, haven't been in these kind of dugouts would be like, oh, well, of course, you know, coach comes up and says, you know, let me know and I'll get in. Like it's not, you know, when you're put in those situations, you kind of, you don't always feel confident in going up and asking for that. So for Caden to be the one guy that, you know, walked up to coach and like, I'll get this done. I think it's great. And he had good ABs, you know, like coach said, that one fastball just got in on him. It had some good ride to it. You know, it was a great at bat overall. That one fastball just had a little ride to it, but he was confident in the box. You know, he wasn't looking for walk. You could tell they were purposeful takes that he was having. So I hope this kind of translate into Caden getting some more runs somewhere. Cause I think, you know, like you said, during these tough stretches, you need guys that want to impact the game. And I think he's somebody that can do that.
Totally. He definitely could be a guy. And I don't know where you put him, really. I mean, second base, unless someone gets hurt, I just don't know where you put him. But we will see. So, all right, let's shift gears over to the series, because we got the Yankee game on in a few minutes here. And, you know, I love being on here talking and stuff, but nothing's more important than the Yankees these days, on opening day especially. So as I got the game on my phone here now. It hasn't started yet, but oh man, I'm looking forward to it. All right. Anyway, so big weekend ahead. Tennessee in town, top ranked team in the country. Nothing really more to explain there. They're loaded, man. They're a good team as usual.
Good, man.
I think this team. I'm gonna say this, and then they'll be like, "Oh yeah, well, I guess I was wrong." Offensively, they're very good. One of the best offenses in the country here, and then pitching wise, they're really good too. But again, Paul Mary was saying it earlier. Their pitching's probably a bit better than their hitting, and that is going to be really tough going into this weekend. But I'll say, as a team, as a staff, Tennessee is pitched to a 2.26 ERA. They have. Let me count it here. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys that have a sub 1 ERA.
Louise.
No, some of these guys have pitched like an inning or two, but there are guys I pitched like 10, 12 innings that are just filthy. So this is going to be a really tough weekend for South Carolina, I fear, just because Tennessee is really good. But man, how do you see this series going? Give me your prediction. Who's someone that needs to step up, and what's one thing you'd like to really see this weekend?
The starting pitching has to step up, especially with Dylan being down. The starters somebody's got to find some length. McCoy, Jarvis, TBA. Somebody's got to try to give this bullpen a little bit of a breather, because they are getting a little taxed here. And like I said, it's been a tough stretch. So Jake McCoy, looking to you Friday night, again, huge spot, best team in the country. But this is what Friday night guys are for. You have a chance to win every Friday, because everybody's top guys is that good. So and then offensively, get guys in scoring position for Petrie and Hall.
That's really all you can say, man.
Yeah, but honestly, I'd like to see some more. They executed a really good hit and run, earlier this week. I'd like to see, again, this goes back to getting Caden Gaskin in the lineup with Carry On. I'd like to see them get some better athletes out, or I say better, some more athletic players out there to steal, cause some havoc in the run game. You're going to have to force the issue. If you're going to get swept, you don't want to get swept being timid. And I felt they were timid in the Arkansas series. I just, that's a tough place to play. And they just felt like they were on their heels from Jump Street. So if you're going to go down swinging. So I'd love to see them get super aggressive this weekend, push the envelope a little bit, get some guys moving, and try to, Tennessee's not going to be flustered. They're the defending champions, and they're super talented. But the only way you can kind of make this happen is to push the envelope, be a little, careful, reckless, I guess is the best way I would say that. But as far as prediction goes, I'd love for them to get a win this weekend, but I can't confidently say they will. I'll pick Tennessee to sweep, but I steal one Friday. Make it tough. Tennessee they dropped Friday against Bama last week, I believe, is who they had. But they dropped Friday night against Bama. They are not invincible. This isn't college football or college basketball where teams are going 33-1 or 10-0. They're not unbeatable. So steal one Friday, see what you can happen. But official prediction, we're gonna get swept.
Yeah, I'd like to say the same thing, and I honestly, man, I really do think they're gonna get swept this weekend. But I've honestly just said all this time, I said they were going to win one game against. I think I said that maybe they'll take 2 or 3 against Oklahoma, which they should have. I said they were going to take a game against Arkansas. They didn't. So I'm going to roll along my prediction here. I think they do take one game this weekend. I just, for the sake of sanity of the fans,
the fan base, yeah.
The team in general, man. I know times are tough. I know you're 1-5 in SEC, but man, like this team, they've got too much talent to go out here and be 1-8 in SEC. Like
and that's the thing. Like EXO, at least try to look competitive. They've been super competitive, other than Arkansas. I mean, Arkansas was bad, and that is, again, that's a place that can kind of get away from you fast. But other than that Arkansas series, they've been in every game. I mean, the little North Carolina loss sucked, but they battled back. They were in that game. It was there to win. And, they had a bullpen game. So, guys were just kind of, put in situations that they want to be, they're not accustomed to being in, but like it's a good baseball team, guys, ladies and gents, Gamecock fans. It's a good baseball team. I know it's frustrating, and it's going to get probably a little worse before it gets better this weekend, but stay the course. This Coach Maneri is building something. I think you can see the progress being made, especially on the offensive end. I think the pitching can get itself righted a little bit, and they can go on a run. Like, so sorry to cut you off, but yeah, I'm totally with you.
We're only 26 games into the year, guys. Like we're not even halfway. Like it's just I just don't know. And the game, I will say they did play to their potential. I'll like in SEC play, I'll say it was the middle game against Oklahoma. He scored 11 runs. I know McCoy wasn't great, but he's been pretty good this year. And look, I am banking on the fact of I'm picking South Carolina to win one game this weekend. God knows when it's going to come. I really don't. I really couldn't tell you, man. I just think they have to get a good pitching performance from somebody this weekend.
Yes.
It's either going to be Jarvis or Jake that gives you a decent enough performance to where it's like, all right, I was confident enough in the offense, seeing what they did against UNC the other day. They scored 8 runs, and they came back from a 5-run deficit, and they came back to tie the game against Arkansas in the lead innings. So, look, they've shown that they can fight. It's just a matter of, okay, hope your bullpen doesn't suck. It's really, really, quite frankly. I mean, it's just been awful lately, man. And you hope you get a good enough starting performance, and if you do, you have a chance to win a game, and you just hope it's one of those days, man, where, like, the ball's flying out of the yard. It's going to be warm this weekend.
Yep.
We will see, man. I do think South Carolina, I do think that I'm probably going to get swept, but for the sake of optimism and all this stuff, I think they can win a game, and we will see when they do. So
go win one on Friday, and then anything can happen. Go win one Friday.
And I know, I've heard all the nonsense about how people are checked out and they don't care and all this stuff. And look, if you don't want to go to the ballpark this weekend, that's your prerogative. That's your business, whatever. But I will say, man, it's not even halfway through the year, and people have already quit and give up on this team. That's just laughable. I think like there's still such a long way to go in the year, and we've said it. We're a broken record talking about it, man. Gratification doesn't happen overnight. This was never going to be easy for Paul Maneri to turn this thing around. It's why they signed him to a 5-year deal. It's not a 1-year plan or anything.
Exactly.
It's going to take time. Get to the postseason this year, win some series, and we will see what happens. And EXO brings up a good point here that we'll kind of end on here. I mean, it's not just losing. It's how you carry yourself when you lose. And look, have times been tough? Absolutely. Has the attitude and the mindset felt a little like, oh man, like we just keep losing a little bit? But you see, being at the field today, seeing them take BP and stuff, they're loose, they're having fun.
That's good. Yeah, no, that's important. Like again, it's to your point. Like I think Coach Kingston had a little bit of a bad rap, but those guys just didn't seem to have fun, a lot of the time. And the vibes are definitely different with this team. I know the results aren't there yet. But, again, to if you don't want to go to the game, that's your prerogative. But I will say, you're going to watch the best team in baseball, in college baseball this weekend. So at least go watch that and then root your guys on while you're there. It's going to be a show, like, one way or another. It's going to be a competitive, or I say competitive. It's going to be an entertaining weekend of baseball. So go there, watch it, and hopefully that enthusiasm swings it towards our guys. Because like I said, one way or another, it's going to be entertaining, for just baseball watchers.
And I think it's going to end up being the case this weekend. But do you really want to see Tennessee outdraw South Carolina fans? I get it. It's bad, man, but it's not like the season is even over yet. You're 1-5 in SEC, man.
This is the toughest stretch. This is far and away the toughest stretch. Again, like you said, they've put themselves behind the 8 ball a little bit with these upcoming series. But again, you play Mississippi State, you play Texas A&M, you go 5-1, boom, you're right back in it. They have. There was a clip. It might have been one you played or one I listened to, with Coach, because Coach can be a little long-winded. But they have played the top 3 in the RPI. They just have. I mean, no one else can say that they've played the top 3 of the RPI. And they're 0, or they haven't played Tennessee yet, but they're 0-6 against that right now, which is unfortunate. But these are valuable games, and just stay the course. Stay behind these guys. They're loose. They're ready to play. Just stick with them. It may not be fun all the time, but you'll look back on it, and you can say you were there for the beginning of something that's, I think, is going to be special by the time Coach Maneri is done with us.
Exactly. So again, series kicks off tomorrow night, 7 p.m. and then 4 o'clock on Saturday, and Sunday is 5 p.m. Rotation, probable pitching matchups this weekend. Jake McCoy going for South Carolina on Friday. He'll go up against left-hander Liam Doyle, who's 3-1 with a 2.03 ERA tomorrow night. Saturday, Jarvis Evans on the hill going up against Marcus Phillips, who is right-hander, 2-0, 1.47 ERA. And then Sunday, TBA for both teams. So should be an interesting weekend, to say the least, and we'll have a lot to talk about from not just this series, but getting ready for Mississippi State next weekend and a midweek game in between there against Presbyterian, as the calendar will shift over to April. So any final thoughts, man, before we get out of here?
I'm excited. I'm excited for tomorrow night's game. We're gonna have the women play at 5 o'clock, and then we'll go right into the baseball. I think it's gonna be great. I think Jake's gonna go out there and have a heck of a start for us. He has earned this Friday. We've been talking about it. He's earned this Friday night start. I think he's gonna show out pretty well, and hopefully everything that goes off start. But tomorrow's gonna be a great day for Gamecock base, or for Gamecock sports.
It's gonna be
like
huge.
I said, it's gonna be awesome. Enjoy the ride, guys. I know it's not the most fun all the time, but enjoy it. It's gonna be fun. We're going to get back to where we are supposed to be, and get it on the ground level. It's fun. We got plenty of space. Let's get in there.
Yeah, so that'll do it for us for now. Again, South Carolina takes on Tennessee in a 3-game set this weekend, and we'll try to end what is currently a 4-game losing streak. So I'll be back live on Sunday to break down a little bit of this series and then preview Game 3 on Sunday night, on Sunday Reset. So for right now, that'll do it for us, and we'll be back out here next week getting ready for the Mississippi State series. So for Ethan Carter, I'm Jack Veltri. Have a great weekend, guys. Enjoy opening weekend of Major League Baseball, and we'll see you guys again soon. Bye.
Go Yankees.